Hey guys, Leo from THD here, coming back with another podcast. I thought it'd be pretty interesting to give you guys more of a personal look, a different look into something me and my mom are really interested in, and that's chakras. So we're going to spend the next 30-40 minutes talking about what interests us about chakras and how we find them interesting in terms of being a more natural coping mechanism in regards to taking pills or medicine. This is something that allows you to take more power and be more introspective with your emotions. So without further ado, welcome Marlene.
Hello. Well, thank you, Leo, for having me.
Yeah. So basically, the reason that I wanted to have you on the podcast is because, well, over the last couple of months, we've been talking a lot more about it, and I find that our interest is just mutually growing with this subject. So I find it's always better to talk about a subject with someone that has the same level of interest that you do.
Agree.
So yeah, like when you're talking to someone and they don't really like what you're talking about, the conversation doesn't go anywhere. But when you talk to someone and then they do their own type of research, you do your own type of research, you always bring interesting stuff to the table on both ends. So that's always nice to have.
I think a lot of people are getting more and more interested in things like that. Like it's like more of a Western kind of aspect that here in Canada people don't talk about it much, but when they get interested, then there's more interest into it than there was in the past. People are trying to find, like you said at the beginning, more ways of feeling better, coping with their stuff, and not always going through, real medicine, or sometimes people feel that it's the best way for them, but other people are trying to find other things, and that's where I found myself, and I was able to share it with you, like you said. And like you said, it's interesting to talk with people that have an interest in that. So maybe in that podcast you'll find some people will be interested in it, and to get to know, and even if it's just a little bit you give them of interest and they keep digging at it like I did, that's how I learned. But it's so fascinating, that's for sure.
Yeah, I find it fascinating too, and even just in terms of just ordinary appeal, like it's very colorful, it has a lot of, like we're going to talk about some pretty interesting stuff in terms of how the color correlates to real life. But I think, like you said, in terms of sharing it with other people, I hope it inspires people to come and look into chakras. And when you're telling someone about something, you only need to be one step ahead of them in order to guide them and in order to inspire them. And that's what one of my idols was very passionate about, was inspiring people. Nipsey Hussle was all about inspiring people and leading people to take action in order to inspire others. So he always said taking action to inspire is the top action that a human can take, So I think that by doing things like that and doing a podcast like this, we can help other people and inspire them to do their own research and find their own ways and little connections to it.
Yeah, that's good that you say that, because I don't consider myself a professional in that matter whatsoever.
Me neither. No.
But yes, like you said, I know more than you do, so I can help you dig into it. And then I've been studying it quite a while now, but it's a growing things. Like you start to have a certain interest, and then like you said, we're going to talk about things that sometimes it blows your mind. It just like makes so much sense, and there's so much into it. You could dig deeper and deeper, and so it doesn't stop. But I don't know everything, and I know what I know now is satisfying to me, and I could talk with you a little bit about it. And I'm sure there's people that know way more than what I do, and that's okay, because that's where they are. So we are where we are, and we use it to our benefits, and that's what matters.
Yeah, like I say, if you knew what I knew, you'd do what I do.
Yeah.
But it's true though, and there's some people that are at different levels, but there's always something to pull from each level, So we can jump right in it and talk about it. Like I think what really pulled my attention toward chakras, like I said, beside it being very colorful and it draws to your attention, like my personal attraction to it was that it was kind of like a little out there at first when I was looking at it, and I was like, oh, like this is kind of like weird, it's kind of interesting, like it's not something that most people look at. And then the more and more I delved into it, I realized that like yeah, it's a little out there, it's a little weird, but a lot of the stuff is like physically in your reality, and you can see it, and it's tangible in a sense that you can interact with it through meditation, through, you know, burning incense and having different frequencies around you, listening to different chakra frequencies can really, and the dances as well that you've done and you've demonstrated, the chakra dances are very visual, even with your eyes closed, you know, which is a crazy thing. It's not something that most people can say to experience. So I think that that's what drew me a lot towards. But how about for yourself?
Well, you know, it was funny for me to hear the word that it's weird, and sometimes we just put the word weirds because we don't know what it is.
For sure.
You know, we have no knowledge of it. So, and I do that all the time. You know, when we don't know, it's a little weird. But when you get to dig into it and know a little bit about it, then, like you said, the interest comes. So anyway, I can talk a little bit about it first to kind of say what it is, like chakras. Like you said, you could work your chakras in many ways. We talked about chakra dance, yoga, but it came to me more so, I would say, at the beginning when I was interested in yoga. Right. And sometimes the word chakra would come, and so I made some research to find out. Chakra means wheel or disc, okay. And they're related to, like I said, not the Canadian kind of healing, but in the way that you see moving energy, flow. Yeah. So it's a different pattern that we have to kind of try to interpret or understand, but they're like a disc or a wheel. So chakras are in our body. They could be physical or just visual or just imagine, but what they are is a circle of energy situated in different parts of our body. There's many of them, but we talk really regularly and more often we relate it to the 7 chakras, 7 colors that are placed in our body, in certain areas in the body. Like the first one, the red one, starts at the base of our spine, so the bottom. And each of them have an energy that circulates. Yeah. And when they circulate, what they do is they make you comfortable, happy, and the goal is to have them open, what's the word? Fluid, moving. Yeah. So that energy needs to circulate, and when it circulates well, it reattaches to nerves in our body, to glands in our body, to parts of our body, to systems inside. So the goal is to have them circulate well, talk to each other, flow. That energy flows through each of them. So basically they're a circle of energy, and you try to make them spin or turn, and not to be sluggish, or because when they are, then health issue can happen, or as physical, as emotional, as psychology. Yeah.
All different types of pain.
Yes, all different types of discomfort or unease, or
they're all real pains.
Yes, they are. And if you can find what they are and listen to your body tells you, and make that roll or circulate and make them energized, then when it all goes, it's like a car. You see, a car has a wheel, has an engine, and has, so for example, if the engine is not working, the wheel don't go really far. Yeah. And you have a flat tire, good engine that's not working, For sure. So these things are like when everything works as a flow, it circulates, and our body is more happy. So
that's a good analogy to use with the car too, of like, it's like a system, you know, humans understand systems well. And I really like the term you used of comfortability, because that resonated well with me in terms of having the chakras flow well. Because for me, like the word comfortable paints a broad brush, because you can be uncomfortable in many aspects, like you said, physically, emotionally, mentally, and each chakra kind of has its own weird way of like nudging you in its own way, you know, like it has different levels of uncomfortability, but once you do it more often, your awareness and your comprehension of those levels, it increases right away. So you're like, oh, when I feel like this, that's the yellow one, or that's the green one, that's my heart chakra saying this. So at first it's like, just, I'm uncomfortable, but then the more and more you kind of peel back the layers, you're like, okay, so why am I uncomfortable? And you assess your emotions more so. And that's why I like meditation so much, because it doesn't make you run away from your emotions. You're there present with your emotion. You're analyzing and you're asking, okay, why am I feeling this way? And why is this the reason that it's happening? And then you just keep asking why, until you get to a certain point where you go, well, it doesn't matter why. I can choose to be happy regardless, you know?
That's what I like about alternative medicine, though, you know, because you get in tune with your body and you get the inspiration that you need personally. Like, I can't have the guidance for your body, but the alternative medicine makes you find what it is and try to fix it at your pace, at your own way, compared to, for me, you know, going to the doctor saying, I have chest pain and I can't breathe, and then they give you medication for that. For me, it's not as appealing because I don't fix the problem. I don't even go into the emotion that are related. And a lot of our diseases, want it or not, you can accept it or not, but that's my point here, is that I know that most of them are related to either an emotion or something, a blockage. And in those chakras, you can have some pretty intense blockage that happened in your youth, because they're also related to 7 years.
And you don't even realize.
So first year of your life, I don't know, for me, for example, I lost my father really young. So that grounding chakra, which goes with the earth, but also goes with security, protection, I felt it a lot. I had lots of insecurity. And it could be related to my first years on the earth, because I was definitely going through, without knowing it, going through some kind of insecurity in the home. I'm sure it was felt. So these things I like, that you can, at your own pace, find what are the things and take that away, move it, make it move, clean it, fix it for good. Like, or, you know, you can come back and understanding yourself through the process, instead of, okay, I'll take the drugs, I'll take the drink or whatever, and then it's still there. I didn't fix anything. I just put a blanket over everything and nothing is fixed.
And I think there's a certain power that comes with that too, when you realize that you can assess yourself and then repair yourself properly without feeling like some kind of drug addict or something. Like you're just doing a better job at managing your body, you know? And it comes, like I said, with that comfortability. Like the more you become aware of what's uncomfortable and what uncomfortable means in different facets. Like you said, the root chakra was just one thing, but it had so many different facets that it could have affected your life in. And once you became aware of it, then you can start working at it and chipping at it. And it's different for everyone, because some people need to chip at it away for years, you know, and some people need to chip at it away for a few minutes, and then there goes that energy flow. And not that one is better than the other, but you probably get more out of the ones that you spend more time chipping away at, you know?
We also have triggers, right? All through our life, we go through, and one day we're walking down the street, and then a trigger, something. Somebody passes in front of you, somebody cut you off, or this dog is running after you, or whatever. There's triggers, but those triggers are ding, 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 you know, little things that will make you, okay, what's going on? Something is happening to me now. I don't like that. I'm not comfortable here. There's something, and when you go through those triggers without being just frustrated, angry, but as an opportunity to learn, like you said, you're here on earth to find out and figure out your body and what he's telling you, and all of this is an aspect that's pretty interesting too.
I just wanted to go back to, before I forget, at that point you were talking about when you go see the doctor and you explain to him what your ailments are, what's hurting you. He only writes a prescription based off what you told him. It's not based off your actual illness. So if your ability to transverse that information is limited, then so will be the prescription. It's going to be a limited prescription. So, and I've always said that language is very limited. Even when you are fantastic at being a linguistic and a great conversationalist,
Yeah.
Even then, it still doesn't go fully, you know, language is limited. Sometimes you say one, like the word comfortable, we're using it often in this podcast, but I'm sure my definition of comfortable is different than your definition of comfortable, rightfully so.
I could be comfortable being uncomfortable.
Yeah, exactly. It's true.
Yeah, and even men and women, they talk differently. I talk, you understand it one way, maybe it's not what I meant. Sometimes we have to go back, but
sure.
you know, when you're at the doctor, you're pretty fast going through what's going on.
And I found, and to go back to my point, thank you for helping me complete it, was that when you go to the doctor, you get prescribed off your ability to verbalize what your ailment is. But when you go to the source and you meditate, the answer is there, and you tell yourself the answer. So it's way more powerful in that sense. There's no bull. There's no, I gotta go get this prescription from this and then drive. No, it's like, it's here. The answer is there, and you just need to tap in and listen.
Who's the better answer than yourself?
For sure, right? Who
because
better?
even if you tell me so many details of your life, like you know about my past and all things like that, but you wouldn't be able to assess what I'm going through and how I'm going through it and what's this trigger for me, what does it mean. But and that's why you brought it up a couple of times. Meditation is very important. Like I said, for me, it was the first time I heard about yoga was where the chakras came along. But there's many ways, like you could help. We're talking about this is an energy flow, but how do you make it go? How do you make it circulate? What do you do? So there's many ways. There's meditation, there's yoga, qigong, energy path. There's even, you can activate those chakras with things that you eat or the colors that you see.
Really? Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah, the food that we choose, like something green, will have an impact on our heart chakra.
I was about to say, I bet the colors match up. Like
they match, definitely. So what we eat, what we smell, aromatherapy is something that you could smell some oils that will trigger and helps you to feel calmer or activate your concentration, and all of these are, so there's many ways. And you also talked about chakra dance is something that I can facilitate. But in chakra dance, what we do really is music. There's sound, and your eyes are closed, so there's vibration. Vibration can activate that. So it's pretty amazing. Music. There's many ways to make it kind of circulate and activate, and things that are fun.
It's not boring. It's not bland.
Yeah, colors, you know, and music is something that we like to do, and we know we make a difference in helping that.
And that's one thing that I find interesting too. Like you said, there's different facets that it covers, different areas it covers, and everyone learns in different ways. So the cooperation of it is very frictionless. It goes through very well in the sense that, you know, some people like to listen more, so the music is best for you, and some people like to be more kinesthetic and feel, so meditation is the better option for you. They're all good options, but there are some that exceed better than others, depending on the person.
For example, like I've done so many kind of exercise, but when you find one type of exercise, either yoga or qigong or running down the street, or you know, when you find something that appeals to you, you're way more inclined to do it again and again, and to have a desire to do it the next day and keep it up for months. It's like if I give you white rice for the rest of the week, at the end of the week you don't really want to eat anymore. But when you find things that you like and you're focusing on these aspects, like either the dance or the drawings or meditation, and these things stick to you, they talk to you, then you're going to continue on that path and work at it. Yeah.
In that same sense too, like it's perspective, like the placebo effect, what you project onto it. If you take that same example of the rice, eating the rice every day, you would feel a certain way if you were projecting that same, oh, this is just fuel, you know, like that same idea of it. But if one day you appreciate the taste, one day you appreciate the texture, the next day you just focus on the way it looks, you know, and the way you prepare it. And in that same way, I think it's important to factor in how you project and how you present the idea to yourself. It really shifts and changes the lens of which you can see it through, you know. and that's important as well. The one thing that really impressed me too is you told me about that rainbow thing.
Yeah.
For the chakras.
Yeah, so this is really impressive, and
Yeah.
it was impressive to me when I started learning about the chakra, and like we said, we dig into it and we learn, but they're related to the colors of the rainbow.
Yeah, which is amazing.
Yeah, so each one has a color, and also they have a vibration. They're also related to the notes, the music notes, you know, so do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, si, or if you go the G, F, they all go with a vibration. So for example, if you take the first one and you have that vibration that makes it, how can I put it? Let me see, example, you hear, it's another way to explain it, but if you're hearing someone that sings really in tune, it's calming, it's relaxing, and nothing goes, you know, you feel it's going. But if they're off note a little bit, or the music is, so that's what happened with the vibration of those chakras as well. So when they're not in tune, sometimes they're just a little bit off, but what we try to do is putting in a way that they will all vibrate at the right vibration. So that way you listen to music and you're not going, so your body is telling you sometimes, you know, there's some aspect we need to work on. So if you take a music note, the vibration that it makes, and you multiply it by the sound of light, it gives you the color. So they're all related to a color and also to a sound or a vibration. Some people use that as well when they meditate. They vibrate a certain sound and they can find it in their body. So they're located in our body. For example, this one is the ground chakra. I talked a little bit about it at the beginning, but they're at the base of your spine, and they're related to all the grounding, your legs, you know, pain in the legs or lower back, and that kind of thing could be something that tells you something is wrong, something is not working. There's also many quizzes that you could do that tells you if you're off or on, or, you know, okay, but so the ground is related, and it's red, it's related to the earth, ground, the root, your roots. So ancestors and, you know, all of that, your root, your past, your first years of your life and things like that. So it's called the root chakra, and it's red. The second one is the orange one called the sacral. It's more between under the belly button. So more the sacral, all the feminine aspect of us. Even you're a male, but you have a feminine aspect that you need to develop into it for sure.
I was gonna say, I find that cool too, how you have the, like, whether you're male or female, you have the masculine and the feminine chakra, both of us.
In both, yes.
They both play a role.
So they would have an influence into your sexuality, to your organs, sexual organs, you know, for the male or for the female, but they are related here and they work in that part of your body. So the third one would be the plexus. Plexus is more over your belly button, and it's yellow. It's related to the fire. This one was related to water. This one is related to the fire. So it's the fire in you, the energy, the motivation, the aspect of going on with your life and making a difference. So this one also relates with more of the organs of the liver and the stomach and that kind of thing. So these things may manifest themselves, but this is the plexus. And then we go to the fourth one is the heart chakra, green. Some people relate it to the pink sometime, the pink rose or something like that. But even in nature, that's what I was gonna say, you know, the colors, we talked about the rainbow, but you go in nature, you see so much lush green and yellow and the blue sky, and all of them are helping you to find what's in there. What do you think the green is? It's related to the air, and it's related to our heart and our lungs. We breathe. Through the breathing, we need the air around us. And so lung difficulties, heart issues, they would be related to the green chakra, which is the heart chakra. This is the throat chakra. It's more related to the blue sky I was talking about, and this one has a special vibration too. And when you do work at it, you can make it vibrate and you feel it. But it's throat, so it's expression, how you express yourself, communication, all that. Plus, in your body, there's a lot of glands, the thyroids. There's a lot of glands, and there's a lot of things that are aspect to your throat, and like coughing. Sometimes I just get up in the morning and I have this coughing, and then I start coughing, and I'm like, oh, something I haven't said lately, or something I need to say, or I need to express myself. And so this is the throat chakra.
It comes with awareness too, right? Because you didn't know that at the beginning.
I know.
And now it's something that you know, right?
Yeah, and then when you know, you work at it, like we said before, you can eat something that is related to that color, or you just meditate on the wall with a special color, or you put lights, or you meditate, you close your eyes and you try to see that color becoming more vibrant for every one of them. Yeah. So while you work at it, like you could put an essential oil, like here, peppermint, or something that is related. There's stones as well. I didn't talk about the crystals and the stones, but you can wear them. I have them on my neck. I have them on my bracelets. Sometimes you have something you want to say to people, and you're not sure how to say it. You could carry the stone in your hand, and it gives you the confidence.
It's a symbolic thing.
You talk about the placebo, it is what it is. I could take a medication for my heart and think it's a placebo, but for me it's less invasive to work onto those or my health in that way than taking medication. But hopefully some people are interested in it and they want to know more.
For sure.
And then there's the one on top here is the third eye.
Yes.
Third eye is amazing.
It is. It's so cool.
It's really amazing when you realize. That's why we do chakra dance with eyes closed.
Yeah.
Because then you learn to let go of all the senses that, we go through our day, and sometimes we're just, this happened, this is there. But when you close those eyes and you start to meditate, you realize there's another eye there that can help you see further, see from inside. It's inspiration, it's guidance. So this is related to maybe your future, seeing far, being guided from the inside instead of just from everything around, people telling you stuff. I need to know what I need to do myself, and it's the brain, the mind also. If you have like headaches and maybe you're thinking too much, you're just thinking too much. You have to overthink. You overthink. So you have a headache, and it's imbalance. It's working too. We all have that when we're in school or working on a project, and we study. We're so concentrated, and then comes at the end of the day, I have a headache. Well, we were on balance. We were just
balance. Yeah, exactly.
Just focusing too much on this one. So that energy circulates, and it's okay to work on one site. You could say. It's okay to use it when we need it. I need to be grounded before I go for an interview, or I need to feel my plexus is strong, so I'm very self-sufficient. I feel good about myself. We all need we're going to a family reunion, or there's a death in the family. Our heart needs to work. Our heart needs to be open, so that all those things we can give love and compensate for what people are going through. So it's okay to work with one or another, but every day make it circulate. Make sure that they all, if you work on that day, like I was saying, studying so hard, and so it's good. But 3 days later, you're still self-focused and you can't get. We need to make them circulate. So the last one is the spiritual. It's at the crown of our head. It's our connection to the universe. You could call it God, universe, whatever you want, but it's our connection that we are on this earth, and we're related to something bigger than us.
Right. So,
and it's space. It's this one was ground. But this one is more space. It's universe. and it gives us a spirituality too, an openness to bigger than me.
Yeah, inspiration, bigger inspiration.
Guided. I'm not the only one. I'm not the whole thing. I'm all everything, you know.
Ego dissolution, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So this one will also affect the way we understand life, the way we accept things that are coming at us. And
right.
so anyway, it gives you an idea of what I mean, but there's so much to know, and the colors and the sound and working with it, finding something that talks to you, either with the yoga that you do. There's a yoga posture for everyone of them. So.
And that's just like scratching the surface, like you were saying. And, and to go back to, like you were talking about, the placebo effect, and the one thing I really like is the theme of every chakra follows that balance, you know, that you need to have a balance, and they all have their own type of balance. And that intertwines so well with life, in the sense that, you know, life is a yin and yang, push-pull. You always need to balance things out. And when you lose balance in certain areas, it affects other areas. So you need to be ever present in all those areas.
Yeah, work doesn't work for long.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah.
Yeah.
And like Grandpa used to say, he said, I'm too broke to buy cheap stuff, you know, because he was thinking in the future, looking with his third eye, you know. And I find that cool, like we were talking about the placebo effect, even with the first chakra, the spirit one, you know, it's like you said, with the stones, you know, like if you carry the stones and you believe in it, and the person next to you doesn't believe in it, well, it's not going to work much for that person. But for you that puts belief into it, it's going to work.
Yeah.
And maybe it does, maybe it doesn't, but that 50% chance that it works is 50% more than the other person has in their court, you know. They have negative 50%. They have, or whatever the percentage is. Percentages are all just made up anyway.
You brought up at the beginning too, and I want to come back to that, but you said the color was appealing.
Yeah.
You know, we all want a colorful life. Otherwise it's dull and
black and white.
Boring. So yes, the yin and yang is black and white, meaning there's a position in things, but to make it colorful, like for me, since I discovered working with the chakra, like I was telling you, even when I go for a run, it means something. I want to do it. Or when you eat something, you smell the food, you taste the food. Anyway, it has changed my life in that way, that I'm more in the present, and I find things that make me happy, that helps me to go to work, that helps me to stay at home or do something. Then I'm going to add some music to it, or I'm sitting there to meditate. Sometimes I could do it in total silence and just listening to the bird, looking at the trees, the wind touching your face, like makes you more in the moment, happy, and having a colorful life is, anyway, it's interesting for many people, I think. But I found through that, I find so many ways that are touching me.
Yeah, and it leaves you with the impression of increase. And that's something that we want, THD, and this helps define, is all about leaving people with the impression of increase, which is, just to make it full circle, a big reason why I wanted to share this with you and with you guys is because this is something that leaves us with the impression of increase. So we feel that if it's something that can be so close with our life and intertwined with our life, then it's something that can definitely be, you know, checked out by you guys as well.
Hopefully that inspires some people anyway to just know, just by knowing it, and hopefully it helps people to, you know, we're going through a hard time now with COVID and being, people are going through a lot now with the stress that it creates, the impact on their health, and the insecurity of what's going on. Things change, but when we can ground ourselves and very focus on, okay, what do I need and how can I be happy now? What can I do to help myself deal with all of this? Anyway, for me it has been, you know, through COVID, yes, there's a lot going on, but I've been turning to that even more, to myself, to the things that I do that creates in me a feeling of peace and security that I can only find in myself, and other than what's going on in the world.
For sure. And that's one thing that we, a question we ask at THD to our guests and to you guys in the comment section, feel free to answer, is what are the best coping mechanisms that you've used during this pandemic in order to stay positive, you know? And I think that this one is a fantastic one in terms of gaining control and being more in touch with the intel that's inside of you, you know, because it's valuable information, whether you accept it or not.
Yeah, for me it definitely has been one way to cope with what's going on, one way to realize that I can do something about it.
Yeah,
I
sure.
can make a difference. Like, I could sit here and complain all day, but that's not gonna change my situation much.
Yeah.
Either than make me feel so bad and sad. But there's something I can do. Anyway, for me, like I said, it's been an anchor to find these things and do that, and I feel more grounded, more in tune with my own self.
Right.
And it definitely has been a coping mechanism, for sure.
I like that one, and it makes me think of one of the first stories you taught me when I was younger was if there's a good wolf and a bad wolf inside of you, which one lives?
The one you feed.
The one you feed, right? And it's the same thing for that, you know, the same aspect of life. When you project a positive thought, you can't be thinking a negative thought. Your mind can only entertain one at a time. It can entertain many thoughts at a time, but whether it's a positive or a negative thought, it has to be one of the two.
Okay.
You can't be thinking a positive and a negative thought at the same time. So we always have a choice in our life of, and not to say that it should always be positive, because then you're not understanding the negative.
Yeah.
We only know happiness through pain. You know, if you have never been hurt, then you're not really appreciative of the happiness you have. You know.
Yeah, the negative happens. It definitely comes. Like, you know, I'm not protected from it. It comes to me. But when it comes to me, I have tools. Exactly. I have something right there that I have control over. Yeah. So like you said, you could decide to sit on it and complain and cry all day. It's just going to feel worse at the end of the day. That's all it is. But you could decide to do that too. Or you could decide to say, what can I do about it? You know, what is it telling me? What's going on? And I use other aspect too, like tapping is another thing we could talk another time.
Yeah, but tapping is really cool too.
It helps you to find the source. You know, you say the plant is growing crooked, but you decide to take off a few leaves, and it still grows crooked. Sometimes you need to figure out what's the root of the problem. Where is the problem? And if the problem is I don't have love in my heart, well, that's going to create a lot of issue with the people I live with. Sure. It's going to create a lot of issue with people I talk on the phone. I have no love in my heart. Why is it that I have no love in my heart? Where does it come from? And what can I do about it? So I was working with so tiny little things. Sometimes, like I said, the oil that you smell, the flowers that you smell, just this or the food that you eat makes it that, whoa, I can change that. I can help my heart be filled with love so that when I go to bed, I don't have this awful feeling of everybody is such a terrible person around. I don't want to be around anybody. But
and that's a cool thing too about having the internet around, is all that information is right there for us to get it as well. It's just a few seconds away from getting it. That's pretty cool though. I like that. Like you said, we could talk more about tapping. We could probably do an episode in and of its own of tapping.
Yes.
But
I think so.
But like you said, it gives you that direct feedback of what's wrong, and what better time than now when we're at home during a pandemic to work on those things, because you have the time now, you know. And then if you're looking for that partner, or you're looking for someone that you want to be in a relationship with, whatever, then you bring more to the table in that case. And like what we've talked about, you know, when you find that partner, you don't look for someone that's going to take from you or you take from them. It needs to be both of you holistically bringing to the table so that you both eat plentiful. I think that's a cool thing. We,
you know, we have to also remember that all of this is for us to have a well-being. To feel, it might not fix every little thing in your life that is not going right, but either it's emotional, psychological, or physical. if something is not working, your body's talking to you.
Yeah.
And if you can take the time to slow down, try to understand what he's telling you and what can you do about it. Make little steps one day at a time because like we said, if we said it's an energy that circulates and it affects the organs around, it affects the nerves, it affects the glands.
Yeah.
We're full of glands and nerves, and so all of this, or bone, or legs, or arms, so if they're all related to something that we can have a control over, or we can do something to help and alleviate the pain or the discomfort or the sadness, everything we can have a control over, then I truly believe that it's us to work at it slowly at a time. And you don't need to know everything. You need to start at one point. That's all it counts.
For sure. I can't think of a better way to conclude that. That's the best way. It has to start with you, right? Like that's same with like I quit smoking cigarettes earlier this year, and like everyone says, you have to want to quit. If you tell someone to quit smoking, that's just outside circumstances for them. If they want to quit, then that's the only thing. And then once again with perception, you know, you change the way you see the cigarette. Is it a reward that you give yourself? Well, then you're going to see it as a treat, and every time you want to reward yourself, you're going to look at that. But if you see it as something that's harmful to your long-term health, and you know that there's certain chemicals in there that aren't good for you, and that what you really want is relaxation, well, then you can find other ways to relax, you know. And everyone's different. That was just the case for me, but I just figured I'd share that little piece of information. And thank you so much for doing this with me, Mom.
You're welcome.
Love you.
I thank you so much. Thanks for having me. It was great.
We'll have you again.
All right, for sure.